Hi everybody, I'm Jerry Beers. As promised, here is the video that discusses the question that I get asked a lot through private messages or when I meet people. Where do I get the inspiration? Where do I get the motivation that I talk about and post on Facebook and on Instagram and stuff like that? So as posted last week, I was going to share a video about what happened in the shooting and all that I went through in 2007 and everything that went on. Literally 2007 was probably one of the worst years of my life in the sense of everything that went on, but yet a lot of great things have come from that. So I want to preface a few things about the video. It's from my account, what I knew and to be my reel on that day. There is some obscene language in it. I may get emotional at parts. There are what I consider some funny parts, if you can believe that, as well as some emotional parts at times. I've relayed this story hundreds of times as people have asked, and sometimes I get emotional, sometimes I don't. Please bear with me on that as well. There are individuals who are a huge part of this story who are on my Facebook. I didn't ask for permission beforehand, so I'm not going to call them out by name during during the video. If they choose to recognize themselves, I think that's awesome, and I would love that. By their own in the comments of the video afterward, they're more than welcome to do that. I know nobody in this situation is looking for any accolades or anything like that, and I for sure want to make sure I explain this. I'm not looking for glory. I'm not looking for people like, oh my God, that was so awesome of what you went through or how you survived, all that. I'm not looking for praise or anything like that. I know I say this and people joke, but I'm very humble is one, but the one most people laugh about is I'm actually very shy in a way, and I'm trying to work through that. It takes a lot for me to do these videos. It takes a lot for me to do the inspirational Facebook Live ones, even the open house ones. I prep different things in my mind going into it. But yeah, this is a story that for me, I think is worth sharing. Everybody who's ever heard it has found it very touching. And it would be one that honestly I would love to work into the motivational speech and all that type of thing as I grow. But that is not why this video is simply to answer the question instead of answering it to everybody individually. I thought I'd give everybody more of a premise, because a lot of people got over 3,000, 2,000, 3,000 Facebook friends on there. For those of you that don't know, welcome. Thank you for watching. For those of my friends and family who have always supported me, again, thank you. Couldn't have done everything in my life without all of you. A lot of people didn't even know I was involved in a shooting, or I was shot, I should say. I wasn't the shooter, I was the one shot. I do have a board that I can help as I illustrate this. A lot of times I'll be doing this in a restaurant or talking to somebody in a restaurant, and I'm actually using the silverware to show kind of what all that transpired in the places that people had to be and where we had to go from there. Let me talk about 2007. Beginning of 2007, I started going through my second divorce. Yes, my second. Not by choice, but it was one of the best things that happened in that aspect of my life. At that time, I was working in Windsor as a police officer. I just got promoted to corporal. Their rankings were chief, 3 sergeants, 2 corporals. My corporal at the time promoted to sergeant. He took over the platoon. There was some restructuring, and then I promoted up to corporal in the same platoon. So we'd worked our whole career at that point together. You'll see why that's integral here in a few minutes. I had custody of my oldest two children at the time from the first marriage. Again, we're living and working in Windsor and such. Going through the divorce, that started in January. The shooting took place in September, late September that year. So during this divorce, it was a horrible child custody battle. I was accused of everything under the sun. We went through one evaluation. That evaluator put in her report. Jerry's been raked over to Kohl's. I won't name the ex, but my ex had a propensity to want to punish me and continue forward on that. Now, everybody knows me. I am very, very family orientated. I love all my kids, each one for various different reasons, but I do love it, and I love every one of my kids. And there's nothing I want to do for any one of them. That being said, my oldest two, you know, I could get along with their mom, and she was not a horrible person. This evaluation was just about my youngest, who a lot of you have seen in different videos or photos and such, because she's the one who still lives with me, or lived with me the longest after my last relationship, and it was just her and I. So that being said, going through the evaluation, my ex requested a second evaluator, and so we're going through a second one of these. You know, and I will also say, I was not a perfect father. I don't know if there is one out there. I did my best with information or things that I knew how to do. As my kids always told every evaluator, our dad's not here to be our friend, he's here to be our dad, but we know he loves us and loves us very much, and there's nothing he wouldn't do for us. So that started in January, go through April. First evaluation comes out. It doesn't go the way she wanted. She requests the second one, so we'll go through the second one. I'm working a day shift in Windsor. At that time, we didn't have the policy that there had to be 2 officers out at all times. The other day shift officer had taken the day off, so I actually was working solo for most of the morning until my sergeant came in early to help cover and work with me, which, as you'll see, was very thankful. So that day, at the end of my shift, I also was, I had my final interview with the evaluator that night. So my youngest daughter, who was 6 at the time, had just turned 6 a few months before, was very much on my mind. Again, I knew if something ever happened to me, my older kids would be fine with their mom. She wasn't a bad mom. We just didn't mesh as a couple. To this day, we actually get along very well. But my youngest, she was top of mind because I had the evaluation and all that. I'm in a new relationship as well at that time, somebody who lived 4 hours away. So working day shift, got a call over to the Safeway in Windsor that there had been a shoplifting. And so I go over and I take the call, and it's actually somebody who was somewhat known to the department in that time. For about a week or two before, this individual had been at the King Soopers across the street. I was not involved in that at all, but he seemed disoriented at that. Medics showed up. He ended up getting placed in on a 72-hour hold. And I spent 26 years in law enforcement. I've never seen this before or after this. But the doctor from the hospital actually called, warning the police department that they were getting ready to release him, and he has threatened to come to the police department and kill the officer who put him in the hospital and anybody who got in his way. Again, I had nothing to do. I wasn't even part of that. The thing that always stuck to me on that was the mental health evaluation is very important. I'm not saying it's for, everybody that needs to be held in there, but if you're a danger to yourself or others, that's what the mental health evaluation for. Well, police officers are others. I know a lot of people get angry with law enforcement, but I'm going to tell you now, I've never met any officer who woke up and said, I want to go out and beat somebody. I never came to work saying I want to go shoot somebody, had any bad, nefarious attitudes towards anybody. These are hardworking people doing a job that a lot of people don't want to do. But I'm not going to digress into that. So anyway, this individual was released. I go to the Safeway, find out that it's that individual who actually had stolen some $24 in candy. He had come in with $20, bought $24, didn't understand the concept that he did not have enough money. He got angry, he went to the second cashier, they rang him up over there, same thing. They knew him in the store as well. He got angry, put the candy in a bag, said, that's fine, call the cops, I'm leaving, and he walked out of the store. Safeway simply just wanted him to pay the $24. We weren't going to charge him, we weren't going to arrest him or anything like that. So I start heading over to, I call my sergeant, let him know, hey, we need to go over and talk to the guy. He says, all right. We were a little more heightened alert because of the earlier threats. You know, but we also do hear a lot of threats in law enforcement. People say they're going to be taken out, you know, they're not going to be taken alive, this, that, and the other, actually stuff you see in a movie, and then it ends up very peaceful. It doesn't always, but in my experience, not saying anybody else's, but my experience, that usually ends up not being the case. So that being said, driving over to the, he actually lived in a senior housing complex in Windsor. We're driving over, again, sorry for language, I'm a smart ass. I'm very sarcastic in that. I call my dispatchers, give them heads up. Hey, just so you know, we're going over, these were the threats he made. I make a sarcastic comment. Well, if he gets us, I guess there'll be 2 supervisor openings, so some, you know, other people can promote or whatever. Completely being sarcastic. You have to know me and my personality. That to me was funny, and you know, I get crap from my sergeant to this day about don't ever say never say that stuff again. But he says it with a laugh. So that being said, my sergeant and I, we show up, we park out on the street. It's kind of a horseshoe circle, half circle drive that you go in one entrance, come out the other, or vice versa. The apartments are on the outer outside edge of the parking lot area there. So we park out on the street and we walk in, because obviously officer safety. So I drew this on a board because sometimes I'm in a restaurant using silverware to point this out, so I just want to make sure everybody can see it. So this is kind of this situation. This is the person who stole the candy. This is his back door. Didn't realize it, just saw the number on the apartment and walked up to this door. This is a second apartment. This is the wall. Comes back around, there's a door here, and then their front doors are on the inside of this horseshoe, and there's a tree in the middle. My partner went over here because there's a large window right here as well. So, you know, he can't stand in front of the window, so I'm kind of stuck in this little L thing right here. As I walk up, I knock on the screen door. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you that door could have been open or whatever, but I believe I knocked on the screen door. He opens the inside door. Says, what do you need? I simply say, I just need to talk to you about the problem over at Safeway. He says, there is no problem. He closes the door, starts to close the door, and I go, well, actually there is. He opens the door. To this day, I could not tell you what that man looked like because I never ever saw him. There was about this much daylight inside from the sun coming behind me from the doors of the screen. I noticed within the sunlight, the 45 comes into the sunlight. I turn and I can't run this way. Or actually I take the first shot. I take the first shot. First shot hit my left hip area. I had a mace holder on, hit the leather, turns the bullet sideways. It goes in between the 2 belts that I was wearing, stops by the middle of my back. I take the second shot on my left rib cage. Ironically on that, when I started in law enforcement, we were told our bulletproof vests on the side, there was always a gap, couldn't overlap, vests weren't working. About a month or 2 prior to this, I got a new vest, and they said, no, you can't cover that. That second shot, according to the doctor, would have blown my heart out. It's right at my heart level. Took the second shot in the rib cage. I can't run this way to get out of the line of fire because I'm between my partner and I, and if he follows me out, my partner can't shoot back. So all I can do is stay in the line of fire until I can get behind this wall. I turn, I'm starting to make my way back, running. I'm trying to draw my gun out. I'm gonna try to fire back or something. As I get the gun out of the holster, the third shot hits me in the back. I actually dropped my gun from the momentum. When the first bullet went around, it actually cut my radio holder off, causing the radio to end up unclipping and falling to the ground as I was running too. Got to the edge of the wall, was trying to get behind that wall. 4 shot came and went through my lower body, Went through one side, hit one of the holes in the pelvic bone, turned and came out the right side, and I had just enough energy to dive behind the wall. I'm laying on the grass. My partner's calling out. He's calling on the radio for officer down. In that, and I start, in my mind, I'm done. This is it. This is the last of it. Telling my partner, tell my kids I love them, tell my mom I love her. Just that's all I could say. Let everybody know I love them. My partner, risks his life coming across to me. That guy never came out of the apartment. That's critical. At this point, he had never come out. Just shot me through the screen door. My partner crosses over to me and he's covering me. And I'm laying on the ground. And I hit that ground so hard, I had stains on the bottom of my arms for a couple weeks. I hit that hard. Lady in the apartment that I'm laying out in front of the door of, she starts coming out. I yell at her to come out. The apartment where my partner was at, there's a door on the side there. The gentleman starts coming out. I'm yelling at him to go back in. I'm sorry, I almost gave the name. My partner moves across, and he's with me, and I completely black out. I'm in shock. I completely black out. As I said, my daughter was top of mind, my youngest daughter. The only thing that came to my mind was I was on the top of a mountain with a single tree. I can vividly picture it to this day. There's tall green grass, and it's swaying in the wind, and my little girl's running to me in a dress. She jumps into my arms, and I'm holding her tight. And in my mind, I say, I can't die. I cannot die. I cannot leave my kids. I have got to be here. This cannot end like this. So as I start coming out of the shock, I'm pushing through, I'm fighting through. I'm feeling the intense pain in my back from where that bullet that went around my back is burned. It felt like it was burning. If you can imagine somebody lighting a fireplace poker, just heating it up and then jamming it into you and twisting it. That's what the burning sensation felt. But as I'm coming out of all of that, I can hear my partner going, Gerald, are you with me? Gerald, are you with me? About the fourth, time I hear this, the only response I could give him is, where the fuck am I gonna go? He loves that part of the story. In the fact that he thought I was gone, and all of a sudden the first words out of my mouth are, I'm a smart ass. And his thing is, he knew at that moment, he said, you were a smart ass before, and then you get shot and you're still a smart ass, you're gonna live. Well, at the same time, we were about 4 or 5 blocks from our police department. Our chief had been on vacation the week prior. This is on a Saturday. He was leaving on Monday for a training, so he came in on Saturday. He's checking his emails, and he happened to be in the office when one of the code enforcement officers ran in, let him know one of the officers is shot. He races over to the scene. He shows up. He can't find us at first as he's pulling in because our cars are out on the street. He's pulling into the complex. Neighbors are running out, pointing at us. So I could hear the brake slam. All of a sudden, my chief's there with me. Sends Sergeant around to watch the front door. And I can remember my chief leaned back, grabbed my shoulder, and said, "You're gonna be okay." Then the bad guy comes back outside with another gun. I can hear the whole confrontation. Can't see it. I can hear it. Shots are fired. Bad guy falls back inside. Can't tell if he's dead or alive. Which when they later went into his house, they found the gun he shot me with, a second gun, and some pipe bombs. This man was a very, very dangerous man. Fire department shows up, the medics. She's one of my great friends to this day. I owe so much to her as well. Race over, she yells, grab them. They just picked me up, put me in the ambulance. Instantly, the only thing I think about is my kids again. What about my 2 oldest? What am I going to do about them? They're at home, they were in high school, but their dad's not there. They got, who's going to watch my kids? Who's going to do whatever? They were taking me to Medical Center of the Rockies. I just remember laying on the bed, looking out the window of the scenery as it passed by, because I patrol that area every day, that road out to towards Loveland every day. So I'm watching things go by, and all I can think is, how am I gonna get my kids there? How am I gonna get my kids to me? Thinking somebody's gonna bring my kids to the hospital. They're gonna stay at the hospital with me. I'm a single dad, no family around, no nothing. What's gonna happen? I end up at the hospital. I believe I was if not the first, but one of the first, but potentially the first major trauma patient coming into the hospital at that time. In fact, I remember when they wheeled me off the gurney, it was like they were all wearing sticky notes of what everybody did, and all I could think in my mind is, what the hell? Nobody knows who the nurse is and the doctor and all that. You got to wear sticky notes. A lot of things go through your mind when you're going through that, when you're hit with bullets. Just by the way, so it ends up with. I go through. I'm in the my first exam. They're gonna take me in for a CAT scan, and I tell the nurse I can't do it. Can't do a CAT scan. I get claustrophobic as it is, and in those tubes. And she goes, nope, it's only a half one, but I'm gonna stay with you. That nurse was amazing. They wheel me in. She said, I'm gonna go get an apron. I'll come back. Now, my ex at the time was friends with another officer's wife. They lived across the street from each other. From what I understand, the wife went over and told her what was going on when the call came out for more officers. The nurse comes back in and says, hey, your wife called and she wants to know, do you want her to bring your kids to the hospital? And in my mind, I'm like, my wife? I'm not married. What? Who? She goes, your wife. I go, who? And she goes, your wife called. I said, well, I'm not. I'm going through a divorce. I'm not married. She goes, okay, your ex-wife called. Somebody called and you want your kids. And I'm thinking, somebody's bringing my kids. I got to get into the I got to do that. She brings the kids. I come out. I'm in the room. I see all my kids. My daughters are crying, and all that. Then they all leave, and I'm in the room for the first moments by myself. No, there was a deputy off to the side logging evidence and stuff like that. But there's no doctors, there's no nurses, there's no nothing. I have my eyes closed and I'm thinking, what the fuck just happened to me? What the hell is going on? Wow. And it's those first moments. And you ever know when somebody's like right here in your face? Well, one, when somebody's staring at you, but they're real close to your face. I open my eyes and my ex is right there. And hand to God, I thought I died. I honestly thought I died. I thought, they say everybody's hell is different, and that was my hell. That was my purgatory. I had to do that. So anyway, I'm in the hospital for a few more days. I get released. I start having to go back through therapy. By the grace of God, and the reason I'm here today is God, because God saved me on that day. That last bullet that passed through my body, no major damage. Didn't cause any damage. Caused shock, nerve wave damage. So I had to rebuild strength and start walking again. But as far as surgeries or anything like that, a bullet cleanly passed through my lower body without any major repercussions or anything, any surgeries or any major damage or anything along that line. But I started having to go physical therapy. I'm seeing a workers' comp doctor. They make me go to therapy to deal with the shooting. That's fine. It's great. And that first therapist, he was a great guy, but he was very, how does that make you feel? Touchy-feely kind of thing. I'll be honest, manly man, type A personality. I just said what I had to do to go back to work. Got shot at the end of September. I'm back working part-time, few hours a day, beginning of December, in that. But some things started changing in my life. Started drinking. I wasn't a drinker before, but I started drinking. I started being angry all the time, unhappy, miserable. I started having effects come back, especially after I went back to work full time. I started talking to the workers' comp doctor, said, I'm not right. I don't like who I'm becoming. My identity was lost. I stopped being Gerald or Jerry. I started being Gerald, the cop who got shot. Or, hey, and people would literally introduce me as, hey, this is the cop who got shot, Gerald. Or, hey, this is my friend Gerald, he got shot. That started becoming my identity. And it angered me because I didn't want this to change me. I didn't want it to change anything about who I was before. but it did, and it was continuing, and I couldn't stop it. So I'm talking to the workers' comp doctor, and he said, you need to see a different therapist. We got, I'd already been done with the first one, cleared to go back to work, went back to work. Started talking to the second therapist, and this guy's in your face kind of therapist. And by the time I go see him, I'm over it. I just want to go back to, I wasn't out of work. I didn't want to deal with therapists by that point. I kind of went through this phase. Now I'm good. I just want to go back to life. And he wouldn't. And so I started trying to pull the same crap with him. What do you want to hear? I'll say it. I'm good. He asked me how something made me feel. I go, I'm fine. Bullshit. And he drew this anger out of me I didn't know I had. And that changed. That changed me. As soon as that happened, I let go of that anger. I let go of that hatred towards it all. He explained to me, I stopped drinking. I stopped being angry. He explained to me that something I went through, most people couldn't even fathom. Most people couldn't even fathom being shot once and living, but 4 times, getting hit 4 times and living. Most people can't fathom that, and I'm a life that what happened to me, they can't even fathom. So for them, well, it's hard for me. It's just amazing, not amazing that I got shot, but here's this person who they know who got shot. And I was able to start accepting it, and then I could start relaying the story and talking about the story and such. One thing I did forget to mention, my daughter was so top of my mind that I was supposed to have that evaluation, that final interview, and I didn't want to spend my time in the hospital worried about that. I got shot around 1 o'clock, 1 to 1:30. I had them track down the evaluator and have them come to that hospital that night, and by 5 o'clock I was doing my final interview in MCR the first night, 4 or 5 hours after I got shot, because I could not. I needed my daughter. I needed that settled. My kids are too important to me. They're always the priority. So started kind of drinking and going back and doing this. So I was able to get rid of that part of my life. I was able to get rid of the anger and do all that. Now when I go drink, I drink because I do it socially, not because I'm angry or I have hatred inside of me. So this is where the inspirations come from. I was always a happy-go-lucky person. One, Facebook didn't exist. YouTube, none of this existed for me to do any of this, to talk to people. But I was always happy-go-lucky, sarcastic guy. But then all of a sudden, these inspirational things will come to me. Sometimes it's just like there's a message to be told to people, to let people know they are not alone in what they're going through, that there are others who have been through tragedy, divorces, major accidents in their lives, the loss of loved ones, you name it, loss of a job or something. There's so much that goes on in our lives that people often, we think we're alone in this, but we're not. We're tight. We're all in this. We're all in it together in that. So a lot of it, that's where my inspiration and my motivation comes from. That shooting helped me realize. I had gone to a active shooter training about a month, instructor school a month or so before the shooting, and they preached to us a warrior mentality. You got to have a warrior mentality, and that's just not in law enforcement. That's in life. You need to go out and work hard for what you want. Charge through. Don't let people take you down and stuff. I wake up sometimes. I'll wake up in the morning to, this would be a good message, and then I'll go to the gym before I even post it or maybe talk about it in a video, and something new just pops into my head. Or I'll be watching my timeline and I see some people going through some different struggles, and that pops something into my head that, hey, this is a message maybe a greater number of people could hear or something. And sometimes it's a reminder to me. It's a reminder to me. I left law enforcement 8 years later. Great career. I have nothing but the utmost respect for all the law enforcement that's out there. There's some amazing individuals, men and women, fighting every day for all of us. And those people do not get enough praise. And that goes with our firefighters, our teachers, our EMS, you name it. They all get the most and need the most praise in life. as well as all of us as parents, our pastors, our priests, our clergy, you name it. There's so many people out there helping all of us. But that's kind of where the inspirations come from, is this backstory, this all that I went through in my life and coming forward. So I left law enforcement 8 years later. I go into real estate. I was with a good company, a good brokerage, but then I came to the one where I'm at now. I'm not doing shameful plugs, so if you know me, you know where I work, where I'm at. Start learning about affirmations, even more about positivity. It's all built on that. Started writing affirmations, believing more in myself, believing in eating and drinking and sleeping, this positivity and these affirmations and these gratitudes and putting things out for others has just exploded the inspiration and motivation that I have. And trying to reach out to more people and doing more things like that and being there for others. So I'm going to leave you with that I'm going to leave you with this, I should say, that you may go through a dark time in your life and you're going to go through happy times. Focus on the happy times. Focus on what brings you out. I'm laying there, hit with bullets 4 times, laying there thinking I'm going to die. My mind goes to a happy place, and that happy place drew me out. If that can draw me out of laying on that ground with 4 bullets hitting my body, one going completely through my body. When you're having a rainy day, cloudy, gloomy day in your mind, I guarantee you, if you think of happy stuff, it'll be there and it'll get it out. You are a warrior. You are a ninja. You are awesome. You are amazing, and you are beautiful. And I believe in everybody out there. Thank you for watching this video. If you think this will help others, please feel free to share this video out there. Sorry if it was too long and too detailed. If you have questions, feel free to message me. But again, thank you all for taking the time to watch it. If that answers your question, this is where my inspiration comes from.